The Bite Me podcast is coming right up, and it is brought to you every week right here on YouTube by Freedom Boats. It is the best shallow running boat on the water, and there is a model perfect for you. The Chiquita 14, the Eagle 16, the Patriot 18, the Commander 21, the beautiful Warrior like I have 23, or the big boy that runs so shallow, the General 26. Chet Moore and Pooty can customize it however you'd like, and there's a dealer near you, whether it's the Boatyard in Kemah or dealerships in San Antonio, Beaumont, Corpus Christi, Port O'Connor, Houston, and Aransas Pass. Freedom Boats or freedomboatsusa.com. Welcome into the Bite Me podcast, Bite Me Fishing Show here with you as we are every week. Appreciate you joining us. I'm John Lopez. That is Captain Dean Thomas. That is Captain Scott Knoll and Captain Caleb McCumber. Tardy. You got another one. How many tardies before you get suspended? I'm wondering about that, but we won't suspend him by any stretch. You guys, appreciate you joining us. Got a fun show lined up for you today because the topics never stop. Topics never stop here on Bite Me. So glad you could join us. But before we get going, as always, just a quick reminder about joining the Bite Me group page, Facebook, search it. A couple of clicks. A lot of people have been joining the Bite Me Facebook group page, but not clicking I agree. It takes like 2 clicks. If you click that I agree to all the nonsense that's on there, it's not our nonsense, it's Facebook nonsense, then we can get you in. But if not, it's just try again and click on yes. Also, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can join right in and get all the podcasts we've ever done. I always like to get right to it, so let's get right to it. Caleb got his tardy. I think 3 more and he gets a suspension, but that's okay. Is that it? You get 4 or 5 tardies and you're suspended?
I think we could do it after 1.
Well, you want to be suspended is why. It's like, please get me out of this thing.
I own a computer that is capable of making advanced graphics and videos and all this stuff, but it's not capable of receiving an email. I'm sitting there, I'm like, John didn't send me the dang email. How does he expect me to? And I'm like, well, the last email I got was February 28th, so that might be it. And, all right.
And I know we've said this before, but we're all relatively tech savvy, but no one should be more tech savvy than Caleb. And yet,
I knew exactly what the problem was.
Look, I'm a long way from tech savvy, but I'm pretty good with email.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good with a clock.
A sundial. I'm good with a sundial.
Me and Scott have been on here since 2:45, and I still figured out how to be late.
That's what we were just talking about off air. And Dean even was on a fishing trip today, and somebody with a listener, which I always like to hear, and they go, "Don't you have a podcast today?" Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, we got to get that.
You got to see on the days that we're off. You got to see the panic in my wife and my kids' face if they see me around 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. Like, you forgot again. No, I was there this time. They didn't show up.
Yeah.
So the whole family remembers. And you still managed to mess it up,
dude. Even my dog would come upstairs and be like, "Hey, this is the day." Like,
oh, they know they got that body clock working. They got that body clock working for sure.
I don't know if we ever made it public that when we skipped that week and did the pre-recorded stuff while y'all were in Costa Rica, that Caleb sat in front of his computer for 15, 20 minutes.
I was 5 minutes early. I couldn't have been more proud of myself.
He's texting Scott. What the hell's going on?
But it's like if the tree falls in the woods, right? Nobody cares.
You get credit. I guess you get credit for that. All right, boys. But before we get into some topics, we got to see what's happening out on the water. Windy, and more wind. And I got to tell you, my middle son, he's the one with the sick gene. He went out yesterday. He had a little project that he had to work on by himself, kind of get away from the family. So he went down to our place in Aransas Pass. And I texted him on the way down after he told me. I said, "Man, it's going to be pretty windy." I texted Dean, and he said, "He's pretty, he's pretty adventurous." But either way, he went down there. I'll be dog. He caught nice couple of redfish in the middle of all that wind on his kayak, and then this morning I just got the text before we came on. He caught about 6 trout, Dean. So he was out there.
And this morning, actually, when we started, it was quite pleasant. By the end of the day, it was quite unpleasant.
Mm-hmm. So you went out. Tell us about it.
Oh, it was good, man. And it's funny because the topic coming up today, fishing with kids. I had a 10-year-old boy on the boat today who stood there and threw top waters and soft plastics till the bitter end. Me and his dad would kick back, man, kind of toasted at the end, and that boy's still standing up there on the front letting them fly.
They do have that resilience.
So he was fun, man. Got him some speckled trout. No big reds today, man. Kind of weird for all of the flats that we covered, and the tide's up good. I mean, it's a good range on the flats for drifting. And I mean, even though it's windy, you know, you throw a couple shootouts, it's perfect. But the reds were just elusive. But I mean, we were entertained with speckled trout. So not a bad day.
Caleb, what you been doing on the water, or have you been?
It's been wonderful. I've been boat riding. That's what I've been doing.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. I mean, but seriously, haven't even been trying to fish. Just I'm building a new boat right now, so I'm playing the old one, trying to figure out what I want to change. But at the same time, I'm looking to see what kind of transitionary things are happening. And you know, we're still more towards Bruce and not towards whatever the next name was in the transition.
Bruce.
But, yeah. What did Jenner change her name to?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We're still.
Was it Caitlin?
Caitlin. Yeah, we're not quite at Caitlin yet. We're still a little Brucey, but Caitlin's coming.
Okay.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
To say wow.
So when, Scott, you been managing it, or you been staying off? We're going to get deeper. By the way, just real quick, we're going to get deeper into the wind here in a second, but just, you know, what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah, I was out there, and that's about all we can say. There was some scattered reds, a whole lot of flounder. That was kind of weird. Kept pulling over a bunch of flounder. We finally ended up catching one by accident, but
of course
on soft plastics, paddle tails, and picked up a couple reds, but it just wasn't much going on. I mean, up on the flats, they were real scattered out, no schools. There was a boat sitting in a channel not too far from the flat that I was fishing. He was about 5-6 feet of water, and they were catching every now and then. You know, soaking bait, anchored up. I'm just assuming all my flat shred fish had fallen off that flat for whatever reason.
Yeah,
water was good. Bait, you know, scattered bait. Nothing, you know, no big bait schools or anything.
I mean, not to get Caleb going again, but we are transitioning here. You know, we definitely are, and we're gonna dig in deep on that here in just a second. But I did want to start with this because I was trying to do the math. It's been at least a decade, maybe close to 2 decades. But I took my beautiful 3.5-year-old granddaughter out fishing. She wanted to go, as everybody knows who listens to this show, want to go fast on the boat with Hawpaw and go fishing. And so of course I did that. And it got me thinking as I'm sitting there with her. And by the way, she did catch a red. She caught about a 15 inch red. So that was big time. I mean, that was like, you guys talk about pressure, you know, as a guide, and I talk about pressure when I take people out on some of these trips that I donate, or even just some friends or whatever. There ain't no pressure like your granddaughter asking you for 6 weeks to take her fishing and take her on the boat, and then you're trying to get one fish with some dead bait. I was like, thank God. But she did it. It made her day. It was just awesome.
At what point do you look at her and say, you know, if you'd hit your cast, you would have caught one?
I was already doing it. I'll tell you what, I had made a move already. I started out in one place, and I was there about 45 minutes or an hour, and I texted Dean, anything? And I think you had caught one, Dean, and 1 or 2. And I said, well, I'll head over there and put the bait out, put the power pole down and the other anchor pole that I had. And about 15 minutes in, finally caught one. It was the best. But the topic today is about that, kind of the bitter and the better about taking kids fishing. That's one of the things that was just a reward, and it was also very stressful. But I realized there's a lot to like about, and I haven't listened, like I said, 10, maybe 20 years, just sitting, and the bait's out and the lines are out, and you're not, you know, casting like crazy, and you're not looking at the line and looking where you're drifting and trying to get the boat just right. Dude, I was just, Scott, I know you've done it because you got grandkids. I was just sitting there going, This is so cool. I'm not going to say I'm going to transition, so to speak, to the bait soaker, but there's just something cool about that. Talking, she's playing, holding the rod, all that. It was really cool.
Well, I mean, I enjoy the hell out of it, but I don't know where you got this sitting and relaxing thing. But
Well, I'll get to that part. It wasn't all sitting and relaxing.
I got 3 of them, and I'm running from one end to the other, baiting hooks and grabbing fish and untangling stuff. And
Okay, we're gonna get to all that, Scott.
oh yeah, all that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's fun. I mean, just seeing them light up, and then they're so interested in whatever fish they catch.
Oh yeah,
you know your different fish, and you know the fish biology, and you can talk about it a little bit with them. The biggest hit last time we were out was a cutlass fish. Big old ribbon fish. It was about a 2 foot long ribbon fish and big gnarly teeth in the front, and that was the hit of the trip. They don't care what they catch,
And you've said that repeatedly, and I got a story for you, but go ahead and finish.
Too many parents get caught up in we got to go catch trout, or we got to go catch redfish, or we got to go, catch flounder or whatever. I mean, that's what Caleb did with Cade. Dude, we have to go catch flounder. That's our goal today. But there's too much of that, and you just need to have some bait in the water and catch something, and they're happy.
Caleb, your retort.
He sucks. He can't catch flounder either.
Nobody can.
Caught one this week.
But Cade's much better now, obviously older and doing stuff. But when he was little, I mean, I'm sure you did the same thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that trying to catch flounders why he quit fishing and started playing baseball.
It would make a lot of people quit.
At risk of repeating myself from a bunch of episodes ago, me and him won a bunch of pro level tournaments together. The kid's room is littered with trophies from big redfish, and he had by the time he was 7, he had Happy Gilmore checks with his name on them and all that. And I was like, boy, this kid gets it. He's one of us. And then I took him and his buddies out. I mean, to the point that when we would throw bait, he'd be like, "Can't we just fish regular? This sucks." But then I took all of his buddies out with some live shrimp. All the little baseball kids come out, and none of them could cast or anything like he could. And we went to Little O Reefs and threw shrimp and caught sharks and gaff tops and hardheads and little redfish and little trout. And at the end of the day, Kate is like, "This is the best day of fishing I've ever had." And I've looked at him in complete disgust and disappointment, but I did have to take his point.
And Ding, you said you had a kid out today.
Oh yeah. Yep. 10 years old, throwing spinning rod, top water. So he had pretty good skills. He fishes with his dad a lot. And he did good. I mean, even through most of the morning, which was pretty slow, I mean, he stuck with it. I mean, he stood up there and cast, and like any 10-year-old, you sense their frustration because, I mean, they want to make it happen. But he did good. I mean, and at the end, the wind was blowing and actually pulled up on just a deeper hole in the middle of the flats, and actually we're catching trout for a few minutes there, like almost on every cast. And he was even talking smack. He took his fish off the hook and he's like, "This is guaranteed fishing right here, man." So he was having a good time. But a lot of variety in the kids. I mean, and they like to be entertained. And I don't know what Scott's doing. I put kids on big old pole bending redfish. But there ain't no guarantees in none of that. Kids are always fun, though. They're intrigued with everything that's out there, whether it's dolphins, turtles, birds, just the wildlife and the scenery. It's just spring break coming up. I mean, I'm getting inquiries all through spring break. It's a lot of family trips that want to come out. So, I mean, it's entertaining. And once you get the lines baited and you get them out there in the water, there are a few moments in between where you get to sit back and put your feet up in there. But when you got guys standing up there throwing lures all day, you get to sit back and put your feet up in there all day.
You do. I don't, because I like to throw. But Scott, I did think of you because, well, first of all, it's just kind of refreshing to see, that newness. I always say I'm as excited now, catching a trout as I've ever been. But there's just something about that. But I did think of you because, at one point we put the rods in the rod holder, and they started getting, have a net, about a 9-inch net, and they were netting through the grass to see what little critters they could get up, just keeping them busy, keeping her busy. And she pulled up one, and there was a little seahorse in there. She goes, a seahorse. I mean, that was like, it was the size of, it was a half an inch at the most, quarter inch. It was a quarter-inch size seahorse. She was excited about that as the redfish. And so I was thinking, like, that's exactly what you're talking about.
A real grandpa would have gone and spent $400 on an aquarium
and put it in there.
Put the thing in there.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm not a real grandpa. We were just talking about all the bills we got to pay from our trip. But that's enough. But she was excited. But then there's the bad part. And maybe this is why I stopped throwing spinning reels. I don't know what it is, but a spinning reel versus a bait caster, when you have a weight and a hook on it, somehow, some way, they're always getting tangled with each other. Like the hook starts dangling and stuff after you're trying to bait, and it's getting hooked up on another rod, and then it's getting hooked up on the top of the rod man, I was like, why is this? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it was just that one experience, but it just seemed like stuff and then there's bait, and you're cutting bait, and all that stuff just all over the boat. It was just, it got to be a couple moments there was a mess.
You just need to refine your system,
I guess.
I think that was all you.
I'm not gonna argue. I was like untangling lines, half
It sounds like Grandpa had the biggest issues on that trip than anybody else on the boat.
Again, I'm not going to disagree too much on that, but it was cool, Scott. And we always talk about, take a kid fishing. You hear that all over the place, dude. It's refreshing for you as well to take a kid fishing. It really is.
It's fun. I really enjoy it. I've got several that come out, and you got to just kind of play it by ear. Like Dean had, one that could fish. And I've had those. That one little boy walked out on Dean's fish with him, Aiden. He walked out there at 7 years old carrying 2 bait casters, walking out and getting on down the dock to get on my boat. And I thought,
yeah,
it's gonna be a long day.
Mm-hmm.
No, that kid.
Aiden is he's an exceptional example though, because that boy, I think he was born with fishing skills. But so, and like, especially spring break and summer, we get a lot of dads with sons and even grandpas with their grandsons and some granddaughters. I mean, I cannot exclude the young ladies on the boat. On occasions we get them, but the ones that come from like a bass fishing culture, they love to cast, and it relates very well to what we do out here on the flats. Yeah.
Do you have something, Scott?
Go ahead.
Aiden throwing for 2 days in the wind with bait casters. Any direction I told him to, he'd make the cast. Never once backlashed.
That's crazy.
7 years old. I mean, I was shocked.
I'm shocked if I did that. If I did 2 days of straight bait caster and didn't get a backlash, I'd be shocked myself. All right, so every once in a while, I like to do just what I call a deep dive, and this is windy season, Caleb. It's been pretty bad this week, altogether up and down the Gulf Coast. So let's dig into to wind, because this is going to be from now until what? Late April, early May, August.
Usually August,
July, but yeah.
Well, we've had in our normal years, yes, sometime around May it'll chill out and be, then you got the mornings, and then in June you got the mornings a little bit later, and then July it'll be dead out. That last couple of years it just blown until August. But I'm here for it. I love fishing rivers and stuff. I don't care about wind that much. However, we're doing a thing on Angler U where at the first of the month I've talked to people up and down the coast and put their predictions out. And so I've looked at the tides up and down the coast, and excluding Mansfield, Mansfield's came up like 1 inch with all this wind this week, but everywhere else is up like a foot over predicted. And Scott and I were just looking at it, and if it stays as forecast, we think there's gonna be water up to the walkways at the harbors in week and a half from now. That floods the grass. That gets up here on the middle coast where I'm at. You start getting all those shad balled up. You start getting schools of redfish. You start getting schools of trout. I'm here for it. We got to hide a little bit. You might, even me, I might have to go wade up against the shoreline instead of fish out of the boat or something. But the fishing is going to be weird for the next couple of weeks while everything kind of gets going. But April, May, June, man, those are fun months, and we got to have all this to get there.
Yeah. So Dean, we talk about the wind, and people like to say, if it ain't blowing, we ain't going, all that stuff. But things do change. Like, what changes right now? For our listeners' sake, like in terms of not just everything from where you're going to strategizing, so to speak. Let's talk about the most important thing between you and that potential fish of a lifetime. Lines and leaders. Seaguar, truly the best. They've been doing it at the highest level since 1971. People always ask, what do you throw? I throw Seaguar. The double structure fluorocarbon is virtually invisible in the water and has exceptional strength and castability. And if you love and trust Seaguar fluoro, you're going to love the braid. Man, bait casters, spinning reels, inshore, offshore, it's the absolute best and the only braid I throw. It's Seaguar, the best quality, the most trusted name in the game. Get to a great retailer near you like Fishing Tackle Unlimited or Anglers Anonymous. Visit Seaguar.com. That's SEAGUAR. Seaguar, always the best.
Well, you better get used to it because it's going to be here for a while. And today was a good opening day to the windy season. And but that if it ain't blowing, I ain't going. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Well, it goes, if we're going, it's going to be blowing. That's how it goes.
Well,
but I've heard down south that they like the wind. If it ain't blowing,
the wind has pros and cons. If the cons is blowing, but
it's wind. It's wind.
It does create current in the water. It moves the water. It conceals your bait. It conceals your boat a little better. They don't know you're there, and when it's a little wrinkle on the water, man, throwing top waters, they don't get a real good look at it. They hit out a reaction. If you can deal with the wind, and you get a lure out there in front of a fish, especially at top water, you get a much better reaction on windy days than the calm days. So the high tide really does help with the wind because it lets me get further back up against shorelines. Low tide and big wind is rough. Those two together make things a little more challenging for me. But here it is, 1st of March. There's a good 3 solid months of windy season in South Texas.
Well, here's the good news though. Like, we really didn't have a winter, so we're getting it over with earlier.
Yes,
like we're a solid 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. It's like a dentist appointment. Get through it and go on about our day.
Well, and being the optimistic people that fishermen are, I like to think that since we had a really mild winter, a very mild winter, that we'll have a very mild windy
You're
season.
welcome, by the way. You're welcome.
Roll.
Somebody here predicted that.
John, we do not want any more of your predictions.
Even when they're right?
Even when they're right, we just don't, because we don't want the bad ones.
Your weather skills far outweigh your ability to measure a tuna. Hats off. Color me impressed, dog.
This is all Scott's fault.
Right after you made that predictions when we got that bad cold front.
Yeah,
that was nothing. That was a little breeze.
It froze my well.
I had to put all my plants in the house just
Didn't freeze the
because,
base. Didn't freeze the
I had to
base.
unfold my
thanks
fishing
to
tent.
you.
But Scott, what about polling, man? I mean, there's some challenges there, and we got a lot of listeners that like to get in those little boats.
Absolutely sucks for March and April.
Mhm.
If you can have some flexibility, there are some days where it's going to calm down just for a day or two. Typically, you catch a couple of mornings, and the afternoon gets windy. But most days, I just look at it and say, all right, well, I've got 15 to 20 mile an hour southeast. I'm going to start somewhere where I've got the wind at my back and I've got a long stretch that I can cover a lot of water. That way I don't have to stop and turn around and go back and try it again. I've got some pathways I've got 2 or 3 different pathways that I'd like to run for southeast and a couple of them for an east. What sucks is when we have one of those springs with the southwest wind. Doesn't happen very often, but when we get that southwest and it's blowing hard, springtime hard, then I got to take a choice. I got to have the sun at my back to see fish.
Yeah.
But I got to pull into a wind.
Mhm.
So that's when you have to make up your mind which way you want to go on it.
That's when you're working on your core, man. That's when you're working.
You're either going to wear yourself out trying to pull into it, and then your guys are casting into it, or you're just going to come up with a way to go with the southwest at your back and deal with the sun in your face.
Yeah. It sucks.
Those are the tough days, but southeast wind, I mean, we're going along there. It'll keep the water clear enough. It's not too bad, over grass flats. And I just tell the guys on the front, if I got a fly fisherman, he's just in trouble. Most of my fly guys won't even come in March or April. Typically, it's conventional guys, and I just tell them, be ready and make your shots as we go by, because we're going to be
moving.
Yeah, so it's drive-by fishing. We're just taking shots as we go.
And the interesting thing about Port O'Connor, where you are, and maybe I'm wrong, correct me, because I don't know every inch of that place. There's always places where you can, on most base systems, Sabine was really good about this. There's some places in Galveston that you can pull your boat to and avoid the wind, avoid going into the wind and some of these rough rides and all that other stuff. You can drive around to another ramp or whatever, but Port O'Connor doesn't really have that much, does it?
That's why I launch out of the fishing center all the time. And anytime it's going to be windy, I go to the fishing center because I can run straight across the intercoastal, 75 yards, 100 yards, and I'm protected. I've got some protected pathways back through there, and I can stay back in the mangroves. And typically when the wind gets high in the spring, the water gets high, it's all up in the mangroves anyway. I got to get back there.
Yeah. Caleb, I said we're going to do a deep dive because I know there's a lot of things to cover here. I'm looking at my notes right now. What about, Matagorda, East Matagorda? I know you've been fishing a lot down south in terms of, wind-driven bites. Wind-driven bites is kind of what Dean was talking about. You're going to get to see more of those?
Yeah, it's the most of the guts coming out of the South Shoreline in both East and West Matagorda Bay or southeast northwest direction, and you start pumping wind down them, and they start doing stuff. Even especially if you pair it like an outgoing tide, then you've got guts coming out of coves and wrapping around points, and a lot of our points have little shell pads on them or little hard sand or clam shells, all kinds of things. But even more so, that water comes out of those coves around the point and then down the shoreline, and we are very close to the time where you start seeing shad and little pinfish and shrimp and stuff getting blown up along the grass. That grass is going to be packed with flounders. For the love of God, someone come catch them. They get in my way. Zero fun, but they're there. They're making a ruckus. She's coming full body out of the water. But as soon as we get these big tides in, wade fishing or out of the boat, rolling down those grass lines is pretty stinking productive. Big trout, flounder, redfish. I mean, it's a target-rich environment for food for them up there, and they come get after it, and they're not overly sneaky about it. When a fish runs through all that little bait, it makes a commotion. The fish comes out of the water a lot real often, somebody said, what do you look for when you're looking for big fish? I look for big fish jump out of the water. Well, it's a joke, but it's kind of it holds a little bit true this time of year, especially flounder. Flounder get airborne. I don't know why.
Yeah, you can hear them. You can see them. You can see them too. Just curious, this wasn't on the rundown. What's kind of a no-go wind in your particular body of water? And Scott, you cover Galveston too. I know the direction matters, but just in general, Scott and Dean, I'll go to you next. Like, I can put up with a lot more wind down in Aransas than pretty much anywhere else I've ever fished.
25 sucks, but we'll do it. If I had a guided trip and it didn't fall perfectly into ways to hide from that, we'd probably cancel it. 30 is like even in the rivers and stuff, 30 sucks. But I mean, and then along with being miserable, just casting and trying to keep everything together in Matagorda, to get into East Matagorda Bay, unless you're coming from Sargent, there's no easy way to do it in big winds. You're going to get beat on a little bit crossing there. To get into West Bay, you got to really know what you're doing, running the diversion and getting out of the diversion. If you know how to do that, you can stay protected pretty good and be all right. Go. The water's going to be clean on the South Shoreline. You can still go wade and do just fine. There's a lot of places in Matagorda to hide from it, fishing wise, hiding from it, boat ride wise. That's the tougher part here.
Gene, you're next, because I was really, one of my pleasant surprises when I went full time down there is a 25 was sometimes for me, because I'm not booking trips. It was just for my own comfort level. I'd probably not go on a 20 on sustained 25. I can do that in Aransas. It's a little easier to manage.
I mean, we end a lot of days on 25 and even gusting a little bit more than that. Launching in the morning when it's 25 is, man, it's going to be a long day. But I mean, there's no exact way to say this is a no-go. If I know it's going to be windy, I talk to my people, see how they feel about the challenge. And we do launch in 25 at times. It's going to limit, the distance you can travel. Like Caleb said, I mean, there's places that you're just not going to be able to go. So if I make everybody aware of the challenges that we're about to face, and if they go, you must be crazy, then we ain't going. And if they're like, hey,
you got to read the room. Yeah.
You read the room. But I mean, the exact no-go is 30. I mean, if it's 30, I ain't going. I don't care what anybody else thinks about it on the boat. I ain't going.
But it is, and Scott has mentioned this about you in the past, and now I'm catching myself doing it. Now I won't go 4 bags, but I've been out there on 3 bags, dragging that shootout. And it really helps on the flats, man. I mean, the wind's still flapping your pants, but you can fish.
In the next 3 months, you should get a 4th bag.
I'm not going to be out there. If it's a 4-bag drag, I'm not doing it.
And I mean, like I said, you don't want to start out in the morning like that, but by the end of the day, 4 bags it can still be done. I mean, that's as uncomfortable as it sounds, as we make it sound. When I'm out there, I got 4 bags in the water. I got a good mile or so of flats ahead of me with the right depth on it. You'd be surprised at how many fish you can still catch on days like that. I guess it's the mental game that you have to get over. The actual fishing can be done, but it's the voices in your head that are the contrary ones.
Yeah, and Scott, that's exactly where I was going to go with you, because you fished a lot of Galveston, you fished a lot of Port O'Connor. There's some open water there. I know you're in your skiff mostly now if you're not offshore, but the water can be an absolute deal breaker if you let it, so to speak. Sometimes you can really get it done, despite the wind.
Yeah, y'all didn't know Dean when he was a kayaker, full on guiding kayak trips. You should have heard him bitch about the wind then.
There were days
he used to call me aneurysm wind.
I was more surprised than anybody. I was much younger then too, man. But the things that we did, I mean, man, if you were a kayak guide and you waited for the wind to quit blowing, you might as well go work at Dairy Queen or something because you ain't going. But those were very challenging times. I'm glad they were then because there ain't no way I could do that now. But it did offer a different element of physical ability to make that happen in the wind.
So Scott, Galveston and Port O'Connor with the big wins.
I never liked Galveston on the big winds. You just got so much big open water.
Same thing with Sabine and me. It killed me.
I mean, I had places that I could, you know, with that little pole and skiff, I could run through some skinny stuff to go where I needed to be, and I could make it work most days. Problem with that wind, it just gets in your head, man. And I'm
even now.
By the end of the day, I'm irritated. You know, even when I'm working out here on the ranch, when it's a windy day, it's just, I don't know, I can't get settled in. But as far as on the pole and skiff, it starts pushing up there around 20. That's going to be a tough day. And most of my guys, they get it. They've been on the pole and skiff enough that if they see that coming, and it also depends on with customers where they come from. If they drove in from Dallas, we're fishing. If they're more local, then they have a chance to, come back. It depends on how flexible they are with their time. If they can reschedule, I'll give them the option. Say, hey, man, we can go. It's not unsafe. That's when I'll definitely call it, like Dean says, 30 miles an hour. No, we ain't doing that. Probably 25. We're probably not doing that. If it's sustained 25 gusting, it's not a good idea. But I'll give them the option. Say, hey, man, it's 15 to 20 today. It's going to be tough. It's out of the southwest. Sun's going to be in our eyes, or the wind's going to be in our face. One of the two. And if y'all can reschedule, let's reschedule it.
Yeah.
But some do, some don't. And I say, as long as it's not unsafe, I'll go.
Yeah.
But I'll make it real clear up front that I don't expect a whole lot today.
Yeah. And the other thing is I being ambitious every time I get on the water and thinking the fish are just going to be right over there, I tend to crank up the boat and start killing myself on those big old waves. Like, why am I doing this? You're just bouncing everywhere. And I'm like, I know once I get there, it'll be fine. Once I get there, it'll be fine. No, it's not fine in the least bit. But yeah. So Caleb, let's talk about waiting then, because that's something that we've all done in the wind. You just get there and it is a little better. But waiting in big wind, is that more of a go-to for you guys?
I mean, that's just the way to go. I mean, it makes everything a heck of a lot easier. I mean, fishing out of a boat, I've been in times where I had to fish heavy winds out of a boat, tournament type stuff. And the best thing we do is just park on a drain and just pound that train to death. But waiting wise, I mean, man, me and Wayne have been down in Mansfield blowing 35 and plenty productive. The appropriate shorelines in Matagorda are fine with that much wind. The only thing, I hesitate to say the only thing, but the one thing that pops out in my mind is whenever you're waiting in a wind like that, you tend to fish the same tunnel over and over and over. You can cast, 45 degrees either direction, but that wind bow is going to eventually bring it back to where you're not fan casting that well. You're covering a
8 to 10 foot area. That's about it.
Yeah, you're covering like the shape of an anchor more than you're covering like the shape of a baseball diamond, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it a little tough if it's grindy. But man, if you want to go and it's windy and you've got a safe way to get there, that's the way to go when it's windy.
Before we get off of the wading part, a lot of people tend to want to wade on the leeward side. We've had this discussion where you're protected, but there's something to be said for fishing the windward side, right, Caleb?
I don't know what side that is.
The windy part, where the winds, where it's crashing. The waves.
We need to change that to the wavy side or the smooth side.
Yeah.
The wavy side. There's something to be said for fishing the wayward. Now I'm mixing both words, windward and wavy. The wavy side is something to be said for that, huh?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it again because I can't help myself. And we could have the Bruce side or the Caitlin side. One's one.
But I don't know which is which there.
I gotta wake up at 4 a.m. to see if you edit that one. To me, like that's like a 10 to 20 mile an hour thing. At 30, unless you've got some crazy other stuff playing into it, like a tide dump or something like that, it's just not worth the beating to me. But 10, 15, 20, sure. It's pushing bait up against the shoreline. If you're somewhere where the water's really clear, the water's a little bit more off color, and that tends to lead to, a better chance at a bite and stuff like that. So 10 to 20, but when you get that heavy stuff, you're just getting pounded and water's killing the back of your head and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad. Any thoughts on that, Scott? Because I know you've done a lot of wading in that stuff. Let's talk about taking your game to another level. Let's talk about sawgrass rods. If you haven't heard, they're taking over the inshore, offshore, and fly rod game. Sawgrass rods, Colin Zillich, the whole gang over there are going to make sure that you've got the right rod. We throw sawgrass rods, and sawgrass is the next level of rod. I'm telling you, when you order a sawgrass rod, if you don't like what you ordered, return it. They'll pay for the shipping. That's the way it is, and that's the way you can trust sawgrass rods, sawgrassrods.com.
Yeah, I mean, you can wade and throw into a cove with the wind at your back when it's beating on that cove. It's just not fun. I did it for tournaments back in the day, but I don't do it for fun.
Mm-hmm. That would be the windward side, correct?
The wavy side.
Now I get it.
So what about the leeward side, Dean? You know what that is?
That's the easy side.
Yeah, there you go.
That's when you're pot licking Lee Wormkey. I always recommend that.
That's the side I fish on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I said deep dive. I have another thought on this, and this probably going to start with Dean and Scott on this, just because. But in big water, Scott, Galveston, Sabine. The other thing about that you can, and I'm not talking about crazy winds, but nice windy day. There's going to be salinity swings in the water, and that's one of those things that I did all the time up at Sabine. Let's check the salinity levels at this part as opposed to this part and go chase them. Correct?
Everything's pretty salty right now.
It is salty now, but if there's some rain or there's some big winds, a lot of times it can change it.
I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the salinity levels, honestly. Yeah,
I did. It paid off too.
Well, in Sabine, you've got the river coming in there, and it's a smaller system than Galveston, so it does make a good bit more difference. Galveston, I mean, I just dealt with whatever I had. I mean, if it was super fresh from a flood, I'd pay attention to it at that point. But day in, day out, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the salinity.
Mm-hmm. So, Dean, now we have Fish Camp TV saying the fun side and the not fun side.
That makes sense as well.
Exactly. All right, so let's dig into some news items. You didn't know that I was hitting the old wire, as they say in the business, and picking up on some news around the Gulf Coast and fishing type news. But I'm going to start with kind of a tough one. I know it's especially tough for Scott. I got to do a podcast with him, and it's really bad news here. If you're familiar with the name Arturo Ramon, Scott, I know he was legendary when you were working down in the hill country after the floods, fed literally thousands of people. And this is just, we want to do a little bit of a hat tip tribute to the work that he did, lay out what he did. And he passed away suddenly this week, I should say, at a very young age.
Yeah. When I first got there, Arturo was setting up day one and setting up a tent. He just showed up and told the guy that was in charge, Harry, he told him, I can't get out there and work, but I can cook. And I want to feed everybody. And there was several of them that came and went, along the way. We'd have different groups come in and they'd, jump in, donate stuff. They'd set up and cook for a day or two. Arturo was there every day. I'd get there at daylight and he'd be setting up and he'd be cooking breakfast, making breakfast tacos, I'd be way out 10 miles down the river somewhere, and I'd get a call from him. Hey man, give me a head count. How many guys you got working? And next thing I know, there'd be a side-by-side pulling up with a whole bunch of trays of food, and he'd feed. And it wasn't hot dogs and hamburgers, man.
No. Let me jump in real quick before you continue. I know him, and the reason he was on my barbecue podcast is this guy is an elite pitmaster. He's been on the Food Network, some of the competition shows. In fact, one of them is airing now, which is kind of sad that he was on. Competition, does catering, does restaurants. This guy was an elite pitmaster that would cook. Well, I'll let you take it from here, but he would cook amazing meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. And then, we'd work till dark and then come in, and he'd be sitting there. He'd still be cooking, still going, and he'd pop the ice chest open. He'd look at me. And my group was usually one of the last ones in, and he said, "You boys look like you need some beer," and off we'd go with the beer. But the meals were. There was one night that stood out to me: tri-tips with chimichurri sauce. I mean, that's not what you're expecting when you roll up from working all day and somebody's cooking in a parking lot.
Yeah.
His meals were just like that every day. I was there 23 days, and when I was leaving, we were talking about it. He had kind of figured things up, and he had done 13,000 plates.
Unbelievable.
In days. And then I left, and he moved on up. They'd shut down the Center Point area, and he moved up towards Hunt and Kerrville, and he did another 20 days. He was there 40 days total. And you just couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
And the dude just kept going all the time.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And I was out on the water, and my phone started blowing up, and all the guys, we've all stayed in touch. And the group text that Arturo was on with us, that text started blowing up, and they had found him passed away in his truck up in Dallas-Fort Worth area. It looks like he had a heart attack or a stroke. Not really sure what happened.
Yeah. And young, very young guy. I don't want to put a number on it, but young children. So I'm guessing somewhere in the early 40s or thereabouts. But so I wanted to do a hat tip there. But we will shift gears to some more news.
One more
Go ahead.
thing.
Go ahead.
For those who aren't on the Facebook group, we're doing a benefit deal for him at Centerpoint. The Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department is putting it on. I think it's April 18th, I believe. And they're looking for donations of things that we can auction off, live auctions, and raise some money for the family. He's got 3 little kids. And so I already put in a fishing trip for it. I don't know what else they got going on, but that's something to keep in mind if y'all feel so inclined.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So other news here, and y'all can hit up Scott on the group page if you have any ideas on anything you'd like to donate. But Dean, certain areas when you're a kid, we're talking about kid fishing earlier, it just resonates. It warms the heart. And one of those places for me was my dad and I myself. We would almost 3-4 times a year go to Bob Hall Pier. We'd go to Bob Hall Pier and just soak bait, or those little those double drop trout plastics that what were they called?
Spec rig.
The spec rig, yeah, spec rigs are on the lights and all that stuff. So Bob Hall Pier got redone, I guess, after the hurricane, and it opened this past week. And the funny thing is, I wanted to get your thoughts on that, but some dude, and it's on our group page.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately, day 1, they had over 1,000 people on that thing. But day 2, he takes a battery-powered drill and starts drilling a hole into the top of the railing.
Dude
so
made the local news down here in Corpus.
He did?
Oh, yeah. To discourage other folks from remodeling the $26 million pier. That was
my gosh. Is that all? Just $26 million?
Yes. Yeah. And the I don't know if you caught the punchline is there are going to be rod holders installed on the pier. It was very preliminary, and it was, 90+% done. So they opened it up for the anglers. They actually aren't even charging anybody yet. There will be a fee sometime in the future, but as part of its grand opening, they said, come on and fish. They're still going to put rod holders, benches, some other lighting, and they're technically still working on it. But so was that dude. He was working on it as well. But yeah, that was, it's why we can't have nice things around here.
I would argue that they are charging people. They're charging that fella. Criminal charges. I got a kick out of the headline, vandalism. I'm like, listen, dog, if you think that I don't feel like he's making a better rod holder than whatever city employee goes out there to do it. And if I was somebody at the city and they're planning on putting like them nice plastic ones, I would change it up and be like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to drill holes in the top board because this is going to be the ultimate troll. And y'all just wait for it. This is going to be phenomenal.
And he's going to be, dang it. And I had to pay for some of those. No, it was pretty hilarious. But Bob Hall Pier just brings back such great memories there. Did y'all do much pier fishing? Y'all had parents that had boats, did you? All of y'all? Yeah.
I grew up with piers in Galveston all the time. I was a certified pier rat.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was.
I fished a lot with my mom and dad as a child, but we didn't go to the pier. That place where we went was Texas City Dike, where we went and set up camp. Got the big old bucket of fried chicken, set up, backed up to the rocks and stayed overnight. And that was, that was one of my fondest memories of a childhood. One funny little side story to that. So way back in the day, man, I was probably 8 or 9 years old. My dad had a pickup truck with a camper on the top with a little boot through the window. So we would all lay up in the back and, mom and dad was driving. So we pulled in, there was a little cafe store right at the base of the dike. And we would pull in there, get some fried chicken, get whatever we needed. And so one time I'm sitting back there on the bumper and I'm eating my little piece of chicken and everybody gets in the truck.
I know what's coming.
Boom, truck takes off driving. My sister's out the window just laughing. Watching them drive away and leave me with I had tears in my eyes and a chicken in my hand.
And chicken in my hand, and you're going head over heels down the road.
Yes. Yeah. Drove off and left me. But
I just got the picture in my mind of Joe Dirt's parents forgetting him in the trash can.
That's exactly how it happened. But luckily, they couldn't outrun me.
After about a half hour?
I caught them. But no, we spent so many weekends down there fishing on those rocks.
Caleb, how about you? Do you ever fish the piers or the jetties or stuff like that?
Nope.
Yeah,
nope.
I didn't think so.
I fished the banks of the Nueces River and some stock tanks and a little bit of Choke Canyon Lake. And I was a teenager before I ever saw saltwater, and it didn't have nothing to do with my parents. It had to do with the girl my parents didn't like.
Of course. We used to sleep in the car. When my dad had a station wagon, we'd put down the back seat, sleep in the car, do it again early in the morning. It was badass.
Look at him all high and mighty with a seat and everything. Me and Dean riding in the back of a pickup truck with a camper cover over it. That's what we did back then.
Yeah.
He had to drive the car uphill both ways.
Both ways uphill. Although we did always stop at Dairy Queen, and to this day, I wish I could tell you how big, because there's no better feeling when you have a good day out on the pier or the jetties, walking back up the rocks or back on the pier, and everybody's turning their head because you have that big ass trout, on your stringer. I'll never forget another one. My dad, I don't know how big it was. I could say 30 and I'd be lying, or I could say 35 and telling the truth. It was a monster trout. Like, he caught one right there. Monster trout back in the day. And I was like walking down the pier, everybody's turning their heads and pointing, look at that. And I'm like, yeah, my dad caught that. My dad, I wish I'd have said I could have caught it, but I was just so proud. It's kind of like my granddaughter, like I was like, hey, my dad caught that trout. It was badass. Hey, did you see, Caleb? For some reason, this topic seems to have you written all over it. the new Texas Parks and Wildlife Department superboat. I sent you a link. You probably didn't click on it.
I didn't.
But
I do recall.
A few minutes ago.
What's that?
I just got your email 3 minutes late to join the show, Doc.
This is true.
I saw something about it on Facebook. It looks super.
It is really
That's
really
what I know about
super. Let me give you some particulars. Custom built metalcraft marine interceptor, 12 meters long. They went with meters on us, packing quad Suzuki 350s, 530 gallons of fuel capacity, which reminded me of Scott's truck, and state-of-the-art technology, including the capability to integrate live video from aerial drones. And what they're doing, it's called the PV Keller, and what they're doing is some of the I guess organizations protecting sea turtles paid for it, and they are trying to keep, I guess, a lot of what are them, longliners, Scott, that come over from Mexico and put the long lines out there, and a lot of creatures, there's a lot of other fish and wildlife that are caught up in those nets. Quad 350s, 530 gallons. What?
I want to know how long that is, Dean. 12 meters.
Yeah, Dean.
How many meters?
Well,
yeah.
12 meters. Well, a meter is 3 feet, so that's 36
No,
feet.
it's not. No, it's not.
He's right at 40 feet. But yeah. I mean,
Well, a meter is 39 inches.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So
when you get
right
12
at 40
that's
feet.
That's some extra.
Mm-hmm. So that's but I mean, good for them. Good for them with that thing.
So 3, that's 120 extra inches.
Oh no.
Man, all y'all out there that haven't seen the Saturday Night Live skit where they're sitting there and the founding fathers are coming up with our system.
Oh yeah, seen it.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's what they're doing. We should do feet, not meters. Why? Because
And the other thing that they're going to use it for down there, I would imagine, they've got the Rio Grande Valley reef. It's fantastic reef down there, and it's in state waters, and they are constantly getting poached from Mexico over there.
mm-hmm.
Guys sliding across and going out there and just really hammering on it.
Caleb could go in a tournament on the Redfish Cup in that thing and be back in half an hour. Be back at the weigh-in in half
I
an
would
hour.
very much like to drive it.
I'm telling you, man, I would very much like to drive it.
So the article that I just found on the aluminum catamaran is an 80-foot high
80
speed,
foot.
80-foot high-speed aluminum catamaran.
Mm-hmm.
The
Well-
Captain Murchison.
Oh, that's
based
the first
out of
one.
South Padre.
I saw that. That's the first one they built. I don't think it has the speed as this one, and it's not integrated with the drones.
Well, this one has a water jet propulsion.
Yes,
So
this
This one is not the outboards.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good. I mean, it ultimately going to help our fishermen. Scott. I mean, it's gonna if nothing else, just deter some of those longliners who are really hard to deter. They're doing it all the time.
With Patriot missiles.
So how
Oh,
many meters
God.
is 80 feet?
How many liters is 80 feet?
How many
Meter.
liters?
About 24.
Yeah,
5,288.
yeah. Good
That's
Lord.
centimeters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna get into what would Scott do, what would Caleb do, what would Dean do here in a minute. But one more thing, and our resident scientific expert plays one on the radio is Scott. Did you see this thing that I sent you about the stocked trout releases? Because you've been saying for a long time, obviously, and you're right, the redfish stock releases have been so much more successful than trout, just because they just don't last. They get eaten, they get swept away, whatever it might be. It's hard for them to grow. But apparently they've assessed their survival rates, and the broodstock genetic program is actually stronger. They can't put a number on it because it's hard to tell, obviously, with so many released. But they've improved the release timing, location strategies, and stock trout releases. Do you think this is real? You think that the trout releases are working a little better?
The biggest problem with the trout is they eat each other in the grow out ponds. So they have to release them when they're smaller than they would like to. And, of course, you release them smaller, then their survival rate's not as good. But yeah, they're going to learn over time the best practices, best ways to do it. It doesn't surprise me at all if they're getting better at it.
Well, it's going to be more trout, and with the limits, who knows how we're going to end up being. All right, I don't want to keep you guys too long. Let's get to what would Scott do, what would Dean do, what would Caleb do, and Caleb, just because of the fun of it, I'm going to start with you. I'm looking at it right now. Somebody asked about the Fish Angler app here on the text board, and that's the one that I use. Not super great, but the winds aren't as bad as they've been this week, and they're coming out of the southeast. Does that enhance things for you, any? Hopefully you're not listening to this podcast from the side of the road because you have trailer problems. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. Master Hitch. Scott Pinkley and the guys over at Master Hitch, they've been in business for more than 30 years, and they are behind you all the way. See what I did there? We're talking about everything you can possibly imagine. Towing equipment, fifth wheels, goosenecks, towing accessories, cargo carries, bike racks, wiring and electrical, and of course, boat trailers, trailer parts, 713-974-4440, 713-974-4440 or masterhitch.com.
It's going to help bring it. Let's talk about it so much in one show. It's going to help bring water back up and, go get on that protected shoreline and fish all you want. Don't forget you're on the backside of a full moon. I think the full moon's tonight. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably be okay. Saturday looks the
Sunday
best.
Or better. Yeah. For me.
Yeah. Sunday, the wind looks better. It's a consistent wind, so you're going to be able to find clean water. I think you can wade. Drifting, if the forecast holds true, be just fine on, either day, really. 15 to 20 isn't terrible to drift in, but Sunday looks a little bit better. Some small plastics, little johns, and me personally, if I'm drifting, I'm throwing a 1/4 ounce jig head, both to get it down and for the wind, and 4, 5, 6 feet of water. If I'm fishing, if I'm wade fishing, I'm probably throwing a little plastic on an 1/8 ounce or a twitch bait of some sort.
Yeah. Dean, have you canceled any trips? I know you got some trips.
Not yet. I got one for Friday that we're going to have that discussion here in a little bit. And then Sunday, I don't know, man, we can move it to Sunday. Sunday's great. And then looking at the beginning of next week, we have a north wind again. So, man, spring is unpredictable. It just is. It's going to be a variety of everything. Hey, we got a chance of rain for this weekend, which that would be a small miracle if that actually happened. Nobody would complain if it rained down here. But just, be aware of the conditions. You got to take what's dealt with you for the day.
Yeah. And Scott, I think it was Parkoff who mentioned it earlier on the text here about, if you've planned a trip well in advance, you kind of got to put up with a little more. From that perspective, people planning on going down there on the weekend, Port O'Connor area where you are, what would you say?
Hunt for the leeward shoreline.
There you go. The fun side, not the fun side.
Honestly, I'd be tempted to stay in the ditch some, work the edges of the ditch. If it really gets to ripping and blowing, I've done that quite a few times in the spring. There's plenty of places over here. You got all the backside of Matagorda Island that you can go get on when you got that southeast wind.
Yeah.
And you can kind of spread out over there and start wading. It's going to be a nice weekend. I would expect it to get pretty crowded. It hasn't been crowded, but spring has kicked off, all this warm weather. I would imagine that this will be the first weekend that we really see a big push of people coming down.
Speaking of which, this past Saturday with my granddaughter was fantastic. There wasn't hardly any boats on. But speaking of which, you guys got some dates. I always want to remind people because I'm sure you're going to be a little flexible during the spring, Caleb, but you're booking people, and then we'll go Dean and Scott.
Yep, we're booking. Send me a text, and I try not to lock you into a concrete date unless you absolutely have to have it. I'd rather let me know you want to go, and we work from there, which is fun because it totally makes it my fault if we suck. I can't.
This
I
is
can't
true.
say, oh man, sorry today the weather, But
Yeah, you
that's
said to
kinda
put it off. You said to put it off till today. What's the
Yeah,
problem, man?
dude. Look,
I
listen.
suck.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The AT&T bill is a little bit higher than it needed to be this month, and I had to call you and tell you to come. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. So Dean, you as well. You're looking. You got some openings, and you're hoping people can be a little flexible.
Just call me. I got plenty days available, and it is a recurring theme with. I know you're probably not available, but I want to take a chance. Call me. Let's get you out there.
Yeah,
Plenty of days available. Don't think that everybody is so busy that there's nothing left. We make it happen.
And of course, Scott, we have a theme today: wind and being flexible. So just to reiterate, make sure you get taken care of here.
Same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's best if you can be flexible, and then we can spot a little opening. I try not to book too many trips in March and April, honestly, not, booking them way out, because over the years I found I end up canceling about half of them or trying to reschedule them, move them around and do all that.
Yeah.
It's just part of it. It's the windy season.
All right, boys. It is the windy season. Appreciate you guys. We are still going to be going fishing, so stay tuned every day on the weekends.
I want to fish in the leeward. When is the leeward season?
The leeward season is the July, the last week of July. Yeah, last week of July is the leeward season, and then that's when you see me out on the beachfront. These guys are fantastic. Appreciate them here as always. Appreciate you guys joining us. Of course, have a great week, great weekend. Catch them up. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey Scott, what do you reckon the odds are that little baby John went to school one day and said, "Man, you should have seen the trout my daddy caught. It was 100 pounds and he had to fight it for 2 hours."
I didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh.